Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I can't tell you how happy I am, to be sitting here and to finally be able to show you the fruits of our labor and an incredible amount of work and effort and that went into it, and I really want to start this stream today with a big thank yous, because this was an incredible effort from everybody involved, and I think great things don't happen by accident. You really need to get fantastic minds to come together in order for great things to happen, and I think this is exactly what happened here, and I really want to start with thank yous. First, I want to thank to my partners, Mark Pederson and Steve Bayes, that you're going to meet in a minute. They're going to be with us live, and you're going to manage to talk to them a little bit and ask them questions. I want to thank to our software engineering team, an incredible Ray and David from Vidvox, who are just these absolutely kind of amazing whiz kids, who have created this monster of application, and accelerated our code 20 times and make it run on a simple MacBook that I'm going to be using now. I want to also thank to Anton, who's one of the most experienced AI developers that I met, and simply because he has dedicated his research into the analysis of filmic content. I also want to thank to Igor, who was person responsible for this incredible DaVinci Resolve integration and many more integrations that we're working on. We have such an amazing engineer there. And also I want to thank to Rahul, who's basically heading the whole kind of data science project, and it's helping our application be better in analyzing the content. He's doing all the behind the scenes work in making the models work better. And of course, I don't want to forget NVIDIA, and John Isis, who was the first person that believed in this project. When I only had the crazy idea that this could happen, I think most people laughed at me. I remember, a few years ago, I did this presentation at BSC, and there was this colorist, I don't want to name him, who's sitting in the first row, and he said, it looks like I'm watching a comedy show. I'm going to believe when I see it. So I'm so happy that actually you're going to start believing now, because you're going to be able to see it. And John Isis was the person who said to me, I believe Dado, and he helped us. We got first support from NVIDIA. And then I want to thank Google. Google has helped us both financially and through support, through their amazing research and open source initiative that they have. And then the last, but certainly not least, originally you guys have to understand this whole development was intended to be for big studios, and we had even already some clients in mind that we were going to develop this for, and it was really down to Y Combinator, which is an incubator program in Silicon Valley that helped us understand how we can, get this technology, more useful to more people, and really they were the ones who kind of helped us pivot it and make it this beautiful application that you're going to see now, because before that it was running on some very, very dedicated cloud hardware, and it wasn't as near as sexy, as beautiful as it is now. So these are my thank yous, and then I want to thank to all people who were at the Summer Look Academy this month of August. Guys, you were absolutely amazing. I have to say, I can't believe it. I was so sad yesterday that we finished it. I kind of hope that you're all going to sign up to this factory program, and that we're going to continue. And guys, you're going to see today some of their work. Summer Look Academy was something unforgettable, and never before something like that was done. We had, 2 times Academy Award winning color scientist, giving his lecture. We had the ASC cinematographer Lawrence Sher giving a lecture, and we had the mighty Walter Volpato, giving a lecture as well. It was just amazing, and they were first people who were using AI. They are actually the first factory drivers, I would say the original factory drivers. So first I'm going to, introduce you to the founders. Then we're going to see a little demo to how application works. But then I really want to hand over to factory drivers. They made some videos for us to show us how they use it. Jamie Lejeune is going to show us how he graded the documentary using Colourlab Ai. We have a Mike Wolf grading an amazing feature. We have Roberto who finished a commercial in a record time. And also we have a Nicola from Shanghai who regraded a movie called AI Rising. So how appropriate to grade a movie AI Rising using AI. So all of these videos are coming at the end, so I can't basically wait to show all of this. But first I want to just go now to my Zoom call. Let me see if we're still here. So I'm in 1 second. Oh, fantastic. Mark and Steve, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Excellent. Steve, can you just check your microphone's working as well? Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
can you hear
fantastic.
me now?
Yeah, very good, very good. So guys, meet Mark Pederson and Steve Bayes. They are basically the people who made this happen. I have to say, without them, nothing would have happened. And really, I want to just give you a little bit of a background information. I have finished, a lot of groundwork and research, and I had a demo application working. And then one evening, I met with Mark in New York, and I kind of, told him casually, hey, this is what I'm doing. And Mark was just like, and then, I went back to LA and we ended up talking. And the next thing Mark said, okay, I'm in. And, this was a really pivotal moment because having Mark as a part of the team is just like a gift. His energy and his drive was just amazing. And with Mark, we managed to basically get, amazing team recruited, of developers and it's just in every company needs somebody like Mark, but I suppose Mark needs to be motivated for the right cause as well. Mike, but why don't you say a little bit about for people that don't know you, even though I can see on the chat there is tons of people who know you, there's your followers and your friends, but tell us, just introduce yourself a little bit for those of who don't know you yet.
Well, first of all, I don't ever tell a short story, but I can try. No, I was a line producer and a production manager in low budget independent feature films in New York for years in the late 90s. I made a lot of ultra low budget movies. And then I sort of started to get the bug for new technologies with respect to as digital was starting to emerge and the original VariCam and the F900 came out. Suddenly filmmakers in New York had the ability to shoot on these new digital formats. And so I ended up doing a lot of research and trying to figure out the workflows for these cameras for independent filmmakers. And the phone calls I got every day were, Mark, how do I get the HD cam tape into the Avid? So those were the early days. And so I really devoted myself to trying to figure out what those new digital workflows were at the time that desktop solutions were emerging. And to be honest, part of my whole journey in this direction, I owe a lot to a guy who I haven't seen in a long time, I've been meaning to catch up with, named Evan Schechtman. And Evan Schechtman I saw a seminar that he gave at TechServe. I don't know if any of New York City people remember TechServe. They had a seminar room in the basement. And Evan Schechtman was a young guy who was teaching Final Cut Pro in New York at the time, and he turned it into a business because this is Final Cut Pro 1 days. And he was then sort of acqui-hired by Radical Media to build one of the country's first completely Mac-based desktop post-production facilities, which is called Outpost Digital. And so I saw this seminar where he showed uncompressed 10-bit on Final Cut Pro, and I said, this is the future. You don't need $1 million room. You don't need, So that was the beginning of my sort of journey, and I ended up consulting and had a desk next to Evan for a while at Outpost Digital, and learned a ton. I met some of the early Apple folks, Bill Hudson and Michael Wong, and some of those guys through that adventure. Richard Karras, I think, was at Apple at the time. And and I saw an opportunity. I mean, they were so busy because number one, Radical Media, I think at the time had 42 of the highest paid commercial directors in the business. So as much as they love to meet all of my friends, they're like, we don't have time for this guy's $250,000 movie, or $500,000 movie. So that was sort of the impetus of me starting off Hollywood with my business partner, Alde Sanchez. We just kind of stuck a flag in the ground and we opened this little boutique. We had no idea what we were doing. We were learning on the fly, and we ended up being involved with dozens and dozens of award-winning feature films, and went on to build a post facility in Soho that was later acquired by Michael Cioni's team and is now Light Iron New York. So I'm just passionate about technology and workflows. And of course, I know you for more than a decade. We were co-instructors for Red's education program. So we've been to different places in the world. I think we celebrated one of my birthdays on a rooftop in Singapore. And I think left a legendary $900 Johnny Walker Blue tab with
we didn't know.
But yeah, I mean, I would say that, look, I've done a lot of different things in my career, always around technology and workflows for film. When you showed me what you had and what I understood the implications were, I just thought it was too exciting to not just dive in. And I didn't believe we would get it as good as we got it. And we're certainly not even done yet. And certainly getting Steve on board was absolutely perfect and fantastic. Because I believe that, a lot of this stuff is surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you.
I want to tell you that we have now application available to download, and it's called a factory driver program. Okay, so if you are interested to test Colourlab AI, you can head over to our website, which is called Colourlab AI, British spelling of word color, colorlab.ai. We created this program limited to only 500 people. This morning, as we started, there was only 230 licenses left. So it is going very, very fast, and I understand that everybody's excited about this product. We even had somebody, telling us that they went to Best Buy this morning to buy a Mac computer because they desperately wanted to test it. So what I'm saying is, like, if you guys, are wondering how you can download, how you can test it, and you're, afraid that it's gonna, not that you're not gonna catch, one of those licenses, go to the colorlab.ai now and sign up. Just click on products, Colourlab AI, and sign up for Factory Driver program. And that is going to give you direct access to beta. It's going to cost you only $99. And when we release application in October, you're going to get the full license worth $1,000 for free. So basically, this is really what's happening. We want to work with very talented colorists who are happy to embrace AI and who want to make this their kind of future, and we want to see what you're going to make out of it. So thank you just for that, just really replying to people in the chat. I want to just now go to Steve Bayes. Steve, please, actually, I have to tell you, Steve, that when Mark and I were thinking who could be the best person that we would like to have as an investor in our company, and an ideal person, and then your name came up on top. And we said, I remember Ethan asking us, what do you think about Steve Bayes? And I said, Steve Bayes would be the ideal person. This is exactly what we want. And we met you, and it took, I don't know how long, and you were super quick. I know that we had your investment in a bank the following week in the midst of a COVID pandemic, like we were like the first big lockdown. It was exactly in the midst of that. And with that money, we were able to pay our developers further and continue development. So I can't thank you enough for, doing this, Steve, because this is such a brave move that you did, that in the middle of a crisis, you actually have lent us, your hand. And beyond just, investing in company, what you did for us is just helps us immensely to focus and understand how to develop this product further. But maybe just for everybody who don't know you, tell us a little bit, what is your background, where you started?
Sure. Yeah, I'll try to keep it short. I have a lot of long stories as well, but not today. Maybe that's later. This is like the first time I'm not in Amsterdam this week for like 25 years, so I've been in the business a long time. I think we knew a lot of the same people. And I think that's why I thought you guys were the real deal and had this wonderful technology. And it was a great opportunity for me to take advantage of. It'd be stupid not to, really. So, and I wanted to be involved as an advisor, having put in many hours developing color grading interfaces and so forth. So, my background, I was an editor in Boston for many years and did just about anything and everything that comes through Boston. But at some point, we were approached by a little startup called Avid Technologies, and they were looking for somebody to do some training, and I was looking to get out of the dark rooms for a while. So I became the first trainer and traveled around the world, and then eventually became the product designer, the principal product designer for the Media Composer, and of course Avid was working on their uncompressed video board at some point, and they were going to put that in a new product called Symphony. And so I took over, a lot of the design for Symphony, and as this was going to be, a real online non-linear editing system. It's crazy, right? But they were going to try and do that, and of course, when you do online, when you're doing anything finishing, you have to do color. So that was one of the big features of that release, and I think we were the first people to do this sort of source-based color grading that really changed the way that people could speed up their color grading, especially on longer form projects, which is kind of what it was perfect for. And then I went on to work on some other projects, and eventually ended up getting recruited by Apple in 2006. And so then I became the senior product manager for Final Cut Pro, and it was Final Cut Pro 5 at that point. So we did it up till 7, and then while we were working on 7, we were in the background building Final Cut 10. And so I was working with plugin developers all this time, and they were doing color grading plugins, and we were doing integration with color grading systems. And so it was always in the back of my head. But when Final Cut 10 came out, the color wasn't as good as we wanted it to be. So that took a while. But then we came out with some better grading for Final Cut 10, and there's still some great plugins for it as well. So and then I retired like 2 years ago and decided I would travel the world. And then the COVID came along, and you guys approached me, and I thought this is a perfect project to work on, and to help you guys focus on where this technology could do the best and the most good. So I'm glad
thank you. And Steve, actually, you don't know how many colorists I know who told me their story that they started on Symphony. And you don't know how many people you have influenced with Symphony. And and also taking that completely crazy approach with FCPX. I mean, this was just such a brave move, and look, it's such an honor to have you on our team, when we are trying to do this AI revolution. I'm so happy for that you're part of it, because as I said, your input is just incredible and valuable in how much you helped us to understand the market. Now, I have to say, this is kind of leads perfectly to some of the questions I can see in the chat. So, guys, you have to understand this. Before we decided to make Colourlab work on Apple, it was running on a PC, but that PC would have cost you in a range of $25,000 to $30,000, because it's not a normal PC. You really had to build a PC and put quite a few GPU inside and cool those GPUs and so on. So it's not something that you could run just on any PC laptop, right? So what happened is when we realized, potential, especially now what Apple is doing with Apple Silicon. And by the way, Mark already posted, we are going to be 100% aiming at Apple Silicon, and we are going to try to squeeze this every little percent of the performance we can get out of those chips. This is really what's happened. Our application has increased in speed 20 times with us focusing on Core ML and Metal 2. And just simply what happens when you have a hardware manufacturer and a software manufacturer in one, it is really possible to optimize the code and hardware behavior in such a way. And this is a gift, and this is why we are working on Apple platform at the moment. Now, we have, all the Power Window users in mind, and we are going to do something about it. We just can't say exactly what's happening at the moment because we are in the midst of making our Mac application even better. But you know, I trust me, if we could have had that performance coming out of a PC box with some, you know, now maybe with the new NVIDIA card, we might be able to do that. Not maybe as elegant as running on a MacBook, you know, I think we would have done it. But you have to understand that the reason why this application is so user-friendly today is because we made a decision to go for Apple platform first. Another thing I have to tell you is before you go and sign up and buy anything, you have to use DaVinci Resolve at the moment. Application is not standalone. It needs DaVinci Resolve Studio. It means you need to have a full license. We are fully aligned with DaVinci Resolve. They have helped us a lot, and they have helped us to integrate, which kind of maybe leads me, if you guys agree, do you mind if I now go switch and start showing the application a little bit and show how that works? Is this okay with you? Fantastic. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to go and basically, you know, come to like the part that you probably all have been waiting for to see, hey, how is this application really working? Okay, I want to just give you a little overview. It's kind of, you know, I'm just going to open like a media folder and just going to import some media, you know, to begin with. So the first thing that, you know, you're going to have to do is you're going to have to say, hey, what is the camera that it's been shot with? Because this is like a high-end color grading application, you know, and we color manage everything. By the way, we support SDR, HDR, ACES. Everything is supported. So basically what you do is you're gonna go and say, all right, you know, I'm gonna use, you know, red camera in this case, and I'm gonna say, and now, you know, Colourlab is gonna adjust the image straight away to that. And now what I can do next is, you see, I can see this is my log and this is my Rec 709 image. And the next thing then I'm going to do, I have here some scopes as well, and then I'm going to go and into my show look. And as you know, show look is a term, is basically a library of lookup tables that are specially built. These lookup tables are not normal lookup tables. You can import your own as well, but we have created something that's completely camera and display independent. So what we're doing now is, for example, I'm just going to use a standard like a Kodak 2383. We all know that look, so, you know, we can kind of just go with that one. Okay, and then I can then use my primary or my printer lights. We support both, and I'm going to go and adjust basically this look. So let's say, for example, I just want to kind of, you know, open it up a little bit. I'll warm it up a little bit in the midst like this, for example. I'll add a little teal in the shadow. So this is the standard kind of approach that you would normally have when you're designing looks. You just go, you pick your show light, and then with the CDL, with the primary, you come to some sort of desired look. And I say, okay, this is my desired look. And Colourlab already recognized that I chose this as a reference, and I just press now button A, and A means for auto match. And now what system does is following. It analyzes every single frame. And so we don't skip anything. We basically go through every single frame and we analyze what is in the frame. And the reason why it's working so well is this is exactly the reason why. So far, all applications that were trying to do auto match were doing it based on histogram values. But if I have a shot like this and I have a close-up shot or a completely different location, they have a completely different histogram value, so it's useless, and that's the reason why they were not working. So we have a completely different approach to color grading and matching. We don't care about histogram. We care what's the content and what would have colorist done in this particular situation. Okay, so application has now finished. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to this shot. So look, this is before and this is after. So this is before and after, before and after. Now, if I come to a situation where I say, well, I'm not sure if this is the best match, and this is exactly, again, the color. Color is not absolute. This is one thing we had to accept. There is no such a thing, a perfect match. What's perfect for me might not be perfect for Mark, or might not be perfect for Steve. We all have an idea to how things, you know, should be perfect. So what I do now is I press my versions. And what you see here is basically options. We have 8 different matching models. One's called Smart, another one's called Dailies, which is how you would normally grade dailies. Then you have a Finals, to how you would fine match your shots. To this one, it goes into a little bit more precision. Then we have a basically one which is called Theatrical. Theatrical is very different than the other models because it really controls the black levels really well. If you know, theatrical releases have to have that consistent black levels. Then we have a Balance only. Balance does not touch any color. It just adjusts lift gamma gain without really changing RGB values, of kind of, tweaks like that. Then we have an RGB mode. I used to call it a German mode because that one's kind of trying to be precisely RGB correct. Then these are my favorite, perceptual. This is where basically the most of the work went into developing perceptual matching models. In this case, perceptual worked the best. I just say enter, confirm that this is the model I want, and I continue. So you see, in like a seconds, I actually managed to match it. But all this time, I'm only matching using my lift gamma gain. So if you look, if I go from shot to shot, only thing that's happening is that my lift gamma gain controls are moving. Okay, I am not applying any magic behind it. The only magic that happens is that machine moves lift gamma gain controls into the position so that image looks matched. And this is fantastic because you can then continue working with it. You can then start, basically from it. You're not locked into something like that. But let's say here, these last 4 shots, for example, I say, no, this is a new scene. I want those to look slightly different. So what I do is I find the reference shot here, and let's say, for example, here I want this shot to be much cooler, right? It's a kind of winter situation, right? I'm gonna go brighten it up and make it a little bit cooler. Okay, so now this is gonna be my new reference for this scene, and now let's just match that scene. This time, basically, it's going to go and say, okay, let me go and reanalyze, how I'm going to go and find the appropriate, like a look for the remaining so that it looks cool, all right? So in a minute, like what's happening, my laptop has to do all the live, broadcasting and matching, and check this out, before and after. Before and after. I really chose these shots carefully because normally, these are the shots that traditional color matchers would completely fail, like a shots where you have a sun like this, or a shot where you have a very dark scene like this, an exterior shot and a kind of shot with the forest. But check it out. They just look absolutely perfectly matched. And this is the reason why, folks at Red Shark News went crazy about it. And anybody who ever touches this application goes like, oh my God, I can't believe this is really, really working. Okay? Now I want to show you another very, very important part, which is incredibly important, that you understand. This application is built to work with the DaVinci Resolve. It's built for colorists, okay? So this is actually, I am a professional colorist, and I really wanted to have something that I, as a professional colorist, can do, okay? And the first thing you do as a colorist, you kind of open your timeline, and you want to match and balance this timeline even before, client walks through the doors. You want to be, somewhere in a ballpark, okay? However, if you have a timeline of 2,000 shots, it doesn't happen in an hour. It happens in a day, even a longer. 2 days sometimes, you're like going through pre-balancing, matching, and all of that. It's quite, intense process. And the problem is with our short time that we have for grading, we end up just, able to quickly match, and then, there's very little time left for creative and interesting stuff afterwards, okay? So what I'm gonna do now is, this is a sequence in DaVinci Resolve that I have conformed. Let's say this is just my conform, okay? Now I'm gonna go into Colourlab Studio, and look, there is this button here called Resolve Import, and check this out. I just press this button, and the sequence just comes over automatically. There is no reconform, there is no export XMLs. There is nothing. Basically, we just look at your timeline and we say, bring it in. So I really want to thank at this occasion to Peter Chamberlain, the product manager of DaVinci Resolve, who was instrumental in making this happen. Without him, this would have never happened. So thank you, Peter, and I want to thank to Igor for his amazing work in making this such a beautiful, piece of, elegant installation. Now I'm going to use a slightly different approach for this one. Let me go and basically maybe put like let's say a Fuji profile on this one, because that's kind of a little bit something retro. But what I want to do now, my client has come with a reference image. And this reference image is this one here. Let me show you. Like, he said, Dado, I really like this kind of, tonality, Is there any chance that you could basically use this as a reference for the skin tones in this particular show? And I can say, yes, absolutely. By the way, there is a button here called Shot Deck, and if you press that button, it will take you, I'm not going to do it now because it's going to screw up my demo, but basically it's going to open up a browser for you and give you a direct link to shotdeck.com, which is the world's biggest and best database of reference images and shots for movies. It's an absolute goldmine, the best thing ever. If you have not tried it out, I'd suggest you go and sign up for ShotDeck. It's amazing. All right, so this is an image from ShotDeck. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, hey, what I want now is I want just to go and to match this particular shot. So there is a feature called, I just press like a basically, in my, sorry, I need to delete this, and I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to say press S. So when I press that, what happens, sorry, I need to go and load it again. This is the demo factor. All right, let's go. So this is the image, and then I'm going to go and press S. Now, basically what it's doing, it's analyzing the look based on a still reference, and there you go. Check this out. Now I make this a reference, and now I say match this. So basically it's going to use this particular, shot that I just, took the look, the color palette from the reference image, and it's going to go and match the rest of the sequence for me. And again, what I can do, I can split the sequence into scenes. I can, use different models when I'm doing that, So basically I can totally do that. All right. So now I'm basically done. Let's see a little bit further. Perfect. So I got it now. So let me show you. So now this is on the right, my reference, and check this out. Before and after, before and after, before and after. Right? Check it out. So I have perfectly basically got and matched my sequence and gave it, actually all that sequence, that kind of tonality that I wanted to have. And now here comes the magic part. I just go and press Resolve Export, okay? And when I do that, what's happening? First, it generates a show LUT, which is a particular show LUT that we need in order for, and it's only one LUT for the whole sequence, okay? So first thing is gonna do that. So my system's just like a little bit like, struggling because it has all of this stuff going on. Okay, now the show LUT has been created. It tells me, hey, can you go to Resolve and refresh your LUTs, which I'm going to do now. Okay, I'm gonna go and click refresh. Fantastic. So now that I did that, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna say continue. So what's going to do now, it's basically going to update nodes 1 and nodes 2 in DaVinci. So check it out. I got now 2 nodes in my color palette in DaVinci. So basically the node 1 is your CDL, basically. So this is just these values here have changed, as you can see. And the node 2 is the show LUT. Okay, and so what I can do now is I can then start and continue grading from here and basically tweaking it further and do whatever else I want to do with it. But I'm completely non-destructive. This is just the metadata and nothing else. Basically, I can just continue working. I can, send this now, CDL, even to set. I can export a LUT if they need a show LUT. I can do all sorts of things. But basically, what is most important is I'm not locked into any look. I'm still basically able to just continue working from where I stopped. I can now continue adding windows, tracking, and everything else that comes with it. So this is really like, how Colourlab is intended to use at the moment. It's not a standalone application right now in this beta. When we release it, we're going to have more features that we're going to make it a little bit more independent. But right now, you really need to use Colourlab Studio. I understand that there is still about, I think, 150 licenses left on our site. So guys, please, if you are thinking to sign up, I would suggest you do it now, because we're going to stop at 500 and we're not going to be able to go any further than that. We can only take 500 people to start testing it right now. Basically, let me go and take a little questions before I continue talking. So Dario is asking, for those of us who use dedicated node trees, that our import might be an issue. So Dario, we are working on a feature where basically you are going to be able to specify to what nodes you want to send the CDL and to what node you want to send your LUT. Okay, and then another very important thing for you, Dario, is as well this. Look, I can actually go and choose that my LUT be exported is in log C, so that way you can use DaVinci color management. Basically your timeline is just going to be basically log C timeline, and you can then use DaVinci color management or something like that. Or even if you want to, if you're an ACES person, you can just select and export all of this as an ACES project, and that way what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to actually continue working in ACES if you want to. So you have the full flexibility to do it. And by the way, everything also works in HDR, so we are supporting Netflix's version with P3, D65, and we also support hybrid log gamma and Rec 2020. So we do all of those different outputs. Yes, it works in ACES CCT, so it's not basically that. Lajos, yes, it's ACES CCT. So we have basically also, by the way, a plugin called Look Designer 2.0, and this plugin is also going to now work completely in ACES CCT. So we have merged our plugins all into one, and all of that color science is in Colourlab right now. So basically that is a kind of the what's happening. Yes, you guys are going to need to register, and Look Designer is a separate application. You can also sign up for it. With this particular event is more about the Colourlab Ai, but if you do like, sound of plugins, if you're Windows users, don't feel left out, go ahead and sign up for Look Designer 2.0. It's an amazing look development tool. You're going to see as soon as we switch, to our users how, they use it and what they're doing it. Okay, so the question is now here, how long until this will interface more easily with Final Cut Pro X? So I think, this is probably a question that maybe Steve and Mark can help answer. Yeah, you knew that this question was coming, I'm pretty sure. So let's go and let's cover it now. Let's see. What is our plan? What is our plan?
Well, I mean, Mark can talk more about the plan than I can, but I mean, obviously in order for it to work like it works in DaVinci, we would need to take the CDL data and put that into the Final Cut XML, and then that would be able to be applied to a timeline. So, and obviously we have that on our radar, and we're going to be talking to the Final Cut guys, the Apple guys, about that. But for this first one, because the integration with the scripting in DaVinci was so good, we thought that we'd release with that. Also, being able to export with the media, the export with the look burned into the media makes it a great tool for, say, onset, because you can do dailies much faster this way. You've got the show LUT, and you've got the DP setting a look, or somebody right there on set setting that look, and then just create all those dailies and then export them as proxies. Or export them as media and then import them into Final Cut as proxies, as however you want to do that. And because the new Final Cut just came out, 10.4.9, has this wonderful relinking of proxies function. So you can generate proxies outside of Final Cut and import them in and link them to the high resolution material. So we see that as being the first, like right out of the box, you should be able to do those workflows. And then, looking into the future, again, it's just a translation of the CDL to the XML, and the engineering team. I mean, it's just a matter of getting there with that first release.
We already have Avid integration, so that is done, and that is going through ALE. Basically, what we're doing there is that is finished. But I think factory drivers are going to get this next week in a build. Then we are also working on film light integration. So there's going to be a base light integration as well. We also want to integrate it closer with some online tools as well. So basically, we do plan to kind of get much more kind of applications integrated and so on. But honestly, like the way how elegantly it's done with Da Vinci, I think all other manufacturers have to stand up to this. And basically, if they want to kind of really get it as beautifully working as this is kind of the beauty of Da Vinci Resolve. The price, okay, let me explain about the price. So you pay now $99 to join the factory driver program. When we release the software in October, you're going to get $999, $1,000 annual license for free, okay? And if basically you maintain your activity as a factory driver, which means you continue testing with us, you continue giving feedback, or even we are able to feature some of your work on our website, you're going to get the next year again for $99 and so on. We want our factory drivers to be our core, basically, they are people. Look, we make this application for people like you, colorists, who are going to be using it every day, and the factory drivers are people. Like if you are to build a sports car, you want a race driver to sit in that car and drive it around the track and tell you, hey, it's a little bit skipping suspension here, this and that. And we are building here a sports car. We're building like a really car that's going to make you win races because it's going to make you so much faster. So factory drivers are our people who are basically going to help us, fine-tune this product to the perfection, which is really our kind of aim, is just to get this awesome application that's going to free you up as a colorist and just make you kind of enjoy your work again, because you're not bogged down by doing matching and doing all sorts of boring stuff, so you can really focus on creative part. When I'm talking about this creative part, let me show you something else which is very interesting. This is not something that you guys have necessary listen. I just really like this little example. I'm going to load a project that I kind of loaded tons of different shots, right? I have just a kind of different, basically, images and different stuff going on in here. And what I really want to kind of show you is the power of working with still references. This is really what I want to show you. So, for example, if I kind of go and let's say, for example, I have for this shot here, and I say, hey, I really want this shot to have this level of orange. I really love this orange, right? What I can do is I can just press basically again match to still. Then it's going to analyze still. And by the way, this is Red Raw 5K. Boom. Check it out. Before and after. Before and after. And all I did, I just moved the lift gamma gain controls. I didn't do anything else to it. This is all it happened. Okay?
Hey Dado.
Yeah.
Can you give them a little, just a quick tease demo of the printer lights? Because I know not everyone uses them, but the people that do use them use them religiously. So show them what happens with printer lights.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark, for reminding me for that. So basically, look at guys, what we also have is like a mode, right, that we call, so if I click here into my project settings, right now I'm working lift gamma gain and printer lights, but what I can also do is I can only I can say printer lights only. Okay, and what that's gonna do is that's gonna limit you to be able to work only with printer lights. Okay, so and then that means that it's going to throw out any lift gamma gain out of it. But let me just show you for the purposes of just working with printer lights. So let's say I have this look here and then this shot, and I want to load this as a reference. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to match this shot to the reference, but all it's going to happen, it's just going to use printer lights to do so. You see, I can't even go to my, lift gamma gain. So this match has happened in exactly the way how old school, I call them old school, or the film colorists used to work with printer lights. And then also what I can do is I have now different printer lights models as well, you know, check it out. So I can say, all right, maybe this one, you know, whichever, oh, this is really good one, right? This one is really working well. Check it out. And all I did is I just basically used printer lights mode only. So you see, this is like such a, you know, look, we do come from high-end post, and we do want basically, you know, people who work in high-end to feel comfortable with this. And it was totally important for us that we basically, you know, have all the features that they want. Check out, if I want to feel like, oh, I really want this leaf to have this gorgeous green, and I can totally see myself doing it all the time, you know. And I call this proactive grading, because what we have been doing so far, we've been a little bit retroactive. We've been kind of, you know, sometimes grabbing different LUTs and putting them, trying to get to a look, but all you do is like you take a LUT, you put it, and you see what's the result. Oh, it's not right. Let me try next one. Oh, it's not right. But now I'm proactive. I look at the image that I want, and I say, no, listen, I want this look. So I am basically, you know, more and that makes me more creative. You know, that way what I can do is I can basically get like a much closer to really what I want to do and how I want to do it. And then I can choose which one of those models do I think it's the closest one to, you know, this is pretty much the green that I want, you see? And that way I chose like from different models how, you know, which one I really like. And then I can go and continue working like that. This is an incredibly, you know, useful feature where I think it's not just about matching sequences, it's about being, you know, creative, being able to basically get up with the great looks, you know, really, really, really good. Mark is asking for link to purchase. Mark, it's called Colourlab.ai. Click on product, select Colourlab AI product, and just say sign up to Factory Driver. I want to have you as a Factory Driver, Mark Todd Osborne. You're awesome, and we want you to be part of this. You know, so basically this is, you know, we want colorists like you, Mark, to be part. This is why we're launching this. We want to have a group of awesome people who are going to help us test and work this further. Guys, at this note, I think, you know, there's lots of questions about the Mac. You know, this is going to be like, you know, probably the thing. I would say it's a great moment for us to move on to our factory drivers. I think there is nothing better than show how our existing factory drivers are using application already. What I'm gonna do now, guys, I'm just gonna play you an amazing, thing, you know, that we have, which is basically one of our users who's already using all the plugins and the software we created. His name is Jamie Lejeune, and he's an amazing documentary maker from San Francisco. And you know, I absolutely love Jamie. You know, and you know, guys, I think it's best if I just let Jamie show you and explain to you how he's using. So it's not like me explaining about it. I think it's much better if I do so. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Jamie showing you how he graded the documentary using Colourlab AI.
Hi, I'm Jamie Lejeune, a documentary cinematographer and colorist based in San Francisco, California. I recently used Colourlab to color grade a feature documentary titled The Bookmakers. And today I'm going to take about a 5-minute section of that documentary and show you how I used Colourlab to both quickly develop a look and then how to apply that consistently through the entire feature. This is the 5-minute section of the film that I'll be regrading today, displayed in the edit page of DaVinci Resolve. Before I get started, I'd like to show you the trailer for the film so that you can see what the end result looked like.
I knew at some point in my life I'd be making books. It's crazy that it's happening right now.
There is a lot of talk about the future of the book, and that chorus of the book is dead. So we fight back a little bit. We make them even tougher and meaner than they ever were before, and more of them.
It's a really important juncture of time that we're sitting at. Communication is finding its ideal form in which to live.
Making a book is extremely hard work. We're the sort of exploited child laborers of our own weird industrial complex, but I'm sort of happy with that.
Somehow that book has to contain that whole theatrical experience without anybody there to direct it.
I think that there's some truth to the fact that everybody's got one book in them.
I love this idea that images, that drawings, that pictures have a life to them, have a spirit.
You just have to open your eyes and you discover beautiful things which I put into my head, or I collect, and after some time they will appear in my books.
Before beginning, I always have to check my project to make sure that I have the LUT option in Resolve set to tetrahedral. The Colourlab workflow uses LUTs, and I want to make sure that I'm using the highest processing for them. The next step is to media manage my sequence. Typically, I get handed very slow hard drives full of big long files. I want to trim those down to get just the shots that are in the final timeline. In the case of the bookmakers, I did that by transcoding everything to trimmed ProRes 4444 clips. This scene from the bookmakers, like most documentaries, is edited from shots taken on different cameras at different times on different days. So the first thing that I had to do was organize the clips in groups based on when they were shot and on what camera in order to efficiently work on each group of similar source shots as a set. I start by organizing by clip name and timecode. But sometimes that isn't enough. For this scene, it won't be enough, so I need to also use Resolve's flag feature to group all of the similar shots. With the shots grouped, I can make a new timeline ordered by the flag groupings, and I name that sequence Colourlab. To enable the grades that I make in the Colourlab timeline to appear in the original film timeline, I use Resolve's remote grade feature. To create my show LUT, I choose a representative shot from the sequence and apply Look Designer 2.0 to a node. Look Designer manages the color from the identified source camera to the chosen output. Before I create the look using the shot, I want to make sure I'm doing that on as neutral an image as possible. So I balance the image first by adding a node before the Look Designer node. In this case, I'll remove the magenta color cast using offset. In Look Designer, there are options to add a digital negative and also a digital print, with many to choose from in each one. For the look I'm setting out to design, because this film is about art, I don't want to distort the color of the art too much, but at the same time the director and I agreed we didn't want a traditional Rec. 709 video look. So I'm going to choose Kodak Vision 3 stock for the digital negative, and I like how that looks full strength. On top of that, I'll try a print stock. The Fuji Eterna is kind of heavy, but I do like the bluer shadows. So I dial that back until I can still see the effect, but it's not too pushed. And I really like this result. It almost makes me want to go back and regrade the whole show with this new look. Beyond the film stocks, a really cool feature in Look Designer is subtractive color. I wish I could explain the color science behind how it works, but what I can say is I really like the result compared to pushing just standard video saturation. Adding subtractive color does add contrast, so I push up the printer lights to compensate. It's a bit of a push and pull between those two controls to get the contrast just right. With the look created, I export it as a 65-point LUT. Now I can open the Colourlab app and import my Resolve timeline directly using the Resolve import command. After the timeline is imported, next I need to tell Colourlab what the source profile is for each of the cameras. I don't have to go clip by clip. Instead, I can use the File Prefix feature to set the profile quickly for a whole set of clips. Next, I add my show LUT, and Colourlab applies it to every clip in the timeline. And now is where those groups that I made for the Colourlab timeline become really useful. I use Colourlab's scene marker to separate each of the groups in the Colourlab timeline. This will allow the AI matching to work much better than simply throwing the whole timeline at it. Instead, it can match within each scene or within each group that I've made. I want to start with the interview shots first, because that's what I used to create my look in the first place. I adjust the first clip of the wide shot interview using the printer lights controls, and then set it as the reference image for matching. Then all I have to do is click Match Scene. So while that processes, I want to let you know that this is all running on a 7-year-old Mac. The speed is pretty impressive considering that this machine is quite out of date at this point. The AI match is done, and it did a pretty good job. But to get a better match, all I need to do is hit return and see the other possible matches for the shot. By using the same B and N keyboard shortcuts that I can use to toggle through clip grade versions in Resolve, I can move through the options here in Colourlab. Now I can move to the second interview shot and adjust the match there. Once I've picked one, I can add further adjustments in the printer lights or using lift gamma gain or saturation. And this is how I work, scene by scene through the sequence. In this scene of outdoor walking shots, the AI matching worked quite well, except for one shot that was really clipped. The sky was totally gone. And this is a case where I'll do what I can quickly here with the CDL grade, but ultimately this shot is going to need detailed keying or windows to replace the clipped sky. The whole goal working this way is to get quick matches as efficiently as possible, and then move the sequence back to Resolve for much more detailed grading. To do that, I just click Resolve Export. Now Colourlab will warn me to update LUTs back in Resolve, so I'll do that. Once I've done that, I can tell Colourlab to continue with the export back to Resolve. Looking here at the nodes, I can see that Colourlab has created a CDL on node 1 and the show LUT on node 2 for each clip. Since these are remote grades, I can switch back to the original timeline in the edit order and all the grades are there. The great thing about it is that it's not the kind of thing where it's just a black box and it exports and you just can't change it. Since Colourlab is exporting CDL values with the show LUT, it's just normal offset, saturation, and lift gamma gain values on the node, and those can be changed or further refined at any point. Looking here at the light box, you can see that very quickly I was able to apply the show LUT and balance that across the whole sequence. It's a really fast way to get through the first pass on a documentary grade. Working this way allows me to put the time saved into more targeted corrections and creative grading with keys and windows, or to have time to really address shots with problems, like for example that outdoor shot with the clipped sky. So that's Look Designer and Colourlab AI used for a feature documentary. Even with just the beta, it's amazing to see what it can do, and I'm really excited to use it on upcoming projects.
Okay, now I want to show you another factory driver. His name is Mike Wolf. Mike is an amazing colorist here from LA. And he has graded a feature, and again, it's amazing, how, and what he did. So without further ado, let me just pass on to Mike and let me show you how Mike is using Colourlab AI on his work.
Hi, I'm Mike Wolf. I'm a colorist here in Los Angeles. My clients are television production companies, documentarians, and filmmakers. And today, I want to show you something really, really cool. Okay, so here we are in Resolve, and I'm going to walk through how Colourlab really helps me once we get into the grading theater. It is also extremely helpful on set for the cinematographer and DIT, but this is from my perspective as a colorist. Okay, I have this short conformed here in Resolve. There's some red footage, but it's mostly Arri Alexa. And our job as colorists is to take the look that our client wants and use their references to help develop a look for this particular film. And in the beginning stages of grading, there's kind of a series of steps that need to be taken that are pretty much kind of just busy work, which is getting the CDL balanced so that it's coming into the show LUT in a way that the show LUT expects. So the show LUT stays consistent through the whole film, and we use the CDL to push and pull particular looks through the show LUT. And so the show LUT is expecting a nice exposure. And so we have to do that for every single shot in the film. And so a typical film has 2,000 shots, and that's a lot of work. And you're pretty much just aiming for a target. You're not really being creative in this stage. That comes from here and after. So what if instead of doing that, for each scene, each group of shots, or each shot sometimes, as we work through the film, we could break that whole process out on its own. What if we could, with the press of a button, automatically match the CDL of every shot to one reference that we make and not have to go and touch every single shot, so that we can get to the fun part, the creative process of crafting the show look. So Colourlab does this for us. So let's jump into Colourlab. Okay, here we are in Colourlab. So the basis of all our work is the director or cinematographer's desired look for the show. And I love that they have this button in here. It takes us right to my favorite look building resource, which is Shot Deck. It's pretty incredible. There's 139,000 shots from over 1,400 movies. I'm all cross-referenced by all this metadata. I mean, it's great. It's really fun going through this stuff. But how do we use this and Colourlab to leverage our work in DaVinci Resolve? Well, the DP of the film built this deck, and this is in the sequence of the narrative looks that he would like to explore. So we can download these as full-size shots and bring them right into Colourlab. And we can use these as sources for auto-matching the shots of our film. And so how do we get our film in here? Well, look at this button right here. Bang. If that's not magic, I don't know what is. It reaches into the Resolve timeline that is loaded up right here and brings it into Colourlab. All the shots are matched with their correct color science. Boom, done. And so here's the whole film inside Colourlab. And I've gone ahead and applied these scene markers already. And that allows us to see the film divided up into its scenes. And then create CDLs based on scenes. So everything gets balanced and matched automatically using artificial intelligence. Okay, so let's start out with the scene toward the beginning of the film. And let's use this shot to match as our reference frame. So first things first is picking a show look. I'm going to pick this Kodak Vision 3 5207 because that's pretty close to where I want to begin crafting the show look once I'm back in Resolve. So that shows up here. I'm going to lock that up. And now I'm going to start using the client's reference stills to match. I'm going to set that as a reference still and match selected shot to reference still. Now the artificial intelligence is going to run this image through its models to arrive at a look based on the tonality and color palette of this shot. And then I can hit A to auto match all of these different exposures and color palettes to match this as a launching point for the look design for the scene. It's going through and building a handful of looks based on a handful of artificial intelligence models. Okay, so that's done. Let's check out our scene. So here's our scene now, all balanced with this color palette and tonality. And that gives us a great launching point for grading once we get back into Resolve. All right, let's do one more scene. Let's do this night scene, this exterior stalking scene. And let's use that as our reference. Match selected. Okay, then I hit R to set that as my reference, and then A to auto match these shots in this scene. And now I can see the scene all auto matched to this look. Nice. So one other aspect of this process is we have access to the different models that the artificial intelligence uses to achieve its look based on different aspects of the shot. So I think for this shot, I like this theatrical. So, okay, I'll use that. Okay, so now I've done two scenes, basically. This outdoor stalking scene and this scene here in the beginning. And so how do we get all this information back into Resolve? Well, another magic button right here. Resolve Sync. So again, this all works like an extension of Resolve. And it says, okay, go back into Resolve and refresh the LUTs. So go to the LUTs because it has exported LUTs for this timeline. So I refresh the LUTs, come back here, hit continue. It's now going to sync to Resolve. And push the CDL and the show look into Resolve. And we're done. So go back into Resolve. And here is this whole scene with our beautiful look. And here's this whole scene with our look. Love it. Okay, so from here on out, we can now start, building the look for the rest of the show. So our gallery, and I'm going to choose preserve number of nodes 2, and for my whole show I'm going to apply fixed node tree, and now we can start the business of really crafting our look. And so all the sort of time-consuming work of balancing the CDL of every individual shot can be taken care of with Colourlab and artificial intelligence.
Hey Sarge, hurry up! I'm gonna piss on your mouth. Come on. Let's go! Lace her up. Come on, let's go.
Not bad, Mike, isn't it? I love it. I love actually when I see like somebody else use it like that, I think it's absolutely beautiful, how Mike is working, and the look was just so nice. I love the way how he kind of got this kind of great looking like, night look as well in that second scene. The next factory driver I would like to present to you is a very, very special person. I have to say, he's one of the, most talented, people I experienced. He came, maybe 2 years ago, a year ago to New York and did a course, and he's grown from somebody who was working on commercial to now grading, Amazon TV series, 8-part in 4K HDR. Absolutely amazing. His name is Roberto Negron from Puerto Rico, from Access Studios. and you know, a really an amazing soul. And you know, I also, you know, have asked him to do this video in Spanish, because I do think, you know, that you know, we have a great you know, colorist and talent in Latin speaking countries, and I just really wanted them to have somebody, you know, from, you know, that territory to actually show how he's been using. And very interesting, he was working on a project that he had to finish a commercial. They shot it overnight and they had to grade it and deliver like the next morning or something like that. I worked like on such a crazy projects in the past, and I'm happy it wasn't me this time, so it was Roberto. But you know, he had a Colourlab Ai, so let's see how Roberto worked.
Mi nombre es Roberto Negrón, soy colorista por los pasados 10 años y soy uno de los partners de Axis Studios en la isla de Puerto Rico. Axis es nuestra pequeña casa de postproducción, el cual contamos junto a mi socio y yo alrededor de 20 años de experiencia. Y por muchos años nuestra especialidad ha sido comerciales para TV, para radio, para muchas marcas reconocidas. Hace 6 o 7 años decidimos expandir nuestros servicios a la pantalla grande y empezamos a ofrecer postproducción para películas, documentales, series de televisión. Desde ese entonces estamos un average de 2 a 3 películas anuales y muchos de ellos es creando contenido para exportar fuera de la isla. Look Design es mi plugin favorito. Dado hizo maravillas con esta versión 2.0 que antes se llamaba Colourlab. Puedo decir que los últimos 35 comerciales, 6 películas y lo más reciente proyecto, que fue una serie para Amazon Prime, utilicé este plugin para definir el look. Se hizo un show look utilizando este look nada más, y también lo utilicé para matchar diferentes cámaras. Este plugin hace que todo sea mucho más simple. Cosas complicadas, pues simplemente con 2 o 3 ajustes. Simplemente funciona. GrainLab no es el típico plugin para añadir grano a la imagen. Es más que eso. Otro tipo de herramientas para añadir grano, se siente que el grano es como un tipo de layer que se le pone encima. GrainLab es como si el grano fuera parte de la imagen. Creándole una textura más real, como si fuese fílmico. Colourlab Studio, algo completamente nuevo. Es de esas herramientas que cuando te explican lo que hace, lo primero que uno piensa es, ¿para qué necesito esto? ¿Cuándo lo voy a usar? No creo que de verdad le vaya a sacar provecho. Y son esas herramientas que terminan siendo un completo cambio de juego en la manera en que uno trabaja a diario. Ahora, no vemos el verdadero potencial en su totalidad hasta que nos llega ese proyecto que no sabes cómo vas a poder completarlo sin herramientas como Colourlab. Así que decidimos hacer un case study de esta experiencia con un cliente real, muy exigente, con un deadline imposible, y cómo gracias a Colourlab Studios pudimos recibir, conformar, colorizar y entregar el proyecto en unos 45 minutos. El proyecto, por las restricciones del COVID, se tuvo que tirar y editar en un término de 6 horas overnight. Al otro día se debía entregar y estar listo, aprobado y enviado a las estaciones de televisión en o antes de las 2 de la tarde. Para lograrlo, la agencia decidió contratar 2 equipos, cada cual con su director fotográfico y su propio crew, lo cual en este tipo de situación siempre se presta para que sucedan cosas fuera de lo normal. Quizás no le da tiempo de iluminar como hubiese querido, la cámara por la prisa no se quedó con el mismo setting, entre otras cosas. Y aún así, si todo saliera bien, al final del día son 2 directores fotográficos, cada cual con su manera de trabajar y cómo tirar y iluminar. Así que esto es lo que sabemos de este proyecto. Se tiró en 2 Red Epic 6K, una sola locación en una de las tiendas, 2 directores fotográficos, edición en el set, y tiene que tener una duración de 30 segundos. Pues aquí estoy en la suite de color de mi casa. Este es un disco parecido al que me entregó el editor y les voy a dar una pequeña demostración de cómo fue que logramos entregar y hacer el color en una sesión básicamente de 1 hora, y todo fue gracias a Colourlab. La integración entre Colourlab y DaVinci Resolve es bien fluida y sencilla. Solo le doy a este botón que dice Resolve Fetch y trae el material. Busco en mi lista de LUTs un show LUT que ya había creado y estoy seguro que me va a funcionar para esta situación. Luego busco las referencias que me entregó el creativo y los importo. Lo bueno de Colourlab es que puedo dedicarme un poco más a un solo clip en vez de estar pensando en que tengo tantos clips que tengo que hacer. Divido por escena los tiros con este botón. Escojo un clip por escena, le pido a Colourlab que me empareje a la referencia y haga unos pequeños ajustes. Le doy Match Scene y aquí es donde brilla el Colourlab. Trabajas en un solo tiro para tu match, lo cual significa que la calidad del trabajo del AI va a depender de cuán bien tú prepares los tiros de referencia. Colourlab es sumamente rápido y terminó de corregir en cuestión de segundos. Ahora veo bien qué fue lo que hizo y veo que hay algunos que pueden mejorar, pero Colourlab te da 7 opciones a escoger. Voy viendo cuál de todas me funciona mejor y escojo. Una vez termino de hacer los ajustes, es tiempo de regresar a DaVinci para los secundarios y como ven, tengo todavía tiempo para poder hacerlo. Solo le doy Resolve Sync, me pide que le dé refresh a mi folder de LUTs y tengo todos mis tiros emparejados, balanceados y con el look que creé. Todavía tengo unos minutos para trabajar los secundarios, ventanas y ajustes que sé que a mi cliente le gusta hacer. Añado mi Fix Node Tree a cada tiro y comienzo a hacer los ajustes. Y aquí ven el producto final.
Si alguna vez ahorrar ha sido más importante que nunca, debe ser en estos días. Por eso hoy no solo puedes contar con los precios bajos garantizados de Walmart, sino con cientos de nuevos rollbacks en todos nuestros departamentos. Y precisamente hoy, cuando debemos cuidarnos más, sabes que en Walmart encuentras todo lo que buscas en un solo viaje. Todo con estrictas medidas de seguridad para que vengas a ahorrar en confianza. Walmart, contigo, con todo.
Y tal y como ven, el producto final fue aprobado y exportado en 45 minutos o menos. A tal nivel que la felicidad de mi cliente se hizo sentir. Y lo último que me dijo fue, ¿cómo lograste entregar el comercial tan rápido sin sacrificar la imagen? Lo único que le pude decir fue que tenía una varita mágica y que no piense que voy a cobrar por hora este proyecto.
Not bad, Roberto. Huh, guys? 45 minutes, right? And it kind of is a question what to do and how to do and you know, how to charge that rush fee and whether work on project basis or, you know, certainly when you're able to work so fast, billing by the hour is just not going to work financially for anybody. So this is really something that we're going to learn how to do it. But, you know, just by being able to work so fast, I think you separate yourself from, you know, many other people who can't really complete job at that quality. So we just have to really learn how to present it to producers and our clients. And not necessarily shoot ourselves in the foot, you know, by being fast and not being able to charge actually to what really job is worth. This is just my kind of 5 cents about it. I want to thank Roberto. You know, he's been amazing, also part of the Summer Look Academy. He shared like an amazing, like control panel he built for the Look Designer plugin. You know, he's such a great, you know, the feedback we've been getting from him, and also like, you know, he was the courage. You know, you had to take a really beta software, you know, and grade red cameras with it, and I have to like, you know, really congratulate you. This is a very brave move, Roberto, and I'm so happy to have you as a part of our Factory Java family. So thank you so much. Last person I want to introduce you to, his name is Nikola. He's a Serbian Australia's best colorist. It's a small country, but actually has amazing people. And, he's one of those internationals who left Serbia and now is working in Shanghai. I was very excited actually for him to do this because there is a movie called AI Rising that, is AI, so I said, Nicola, how about you try to do this? Now I have to tell you this. Nicola is using a very early version of Colourlab with AI, when we call it still Studio and all of that, and the interface and everything he's got was just not as nearly as finished as what you saw in the previous videos. It's just because Nicola got this software months ago, and we just really wanted him to test its timing with the movie and release and everything. So we were really keen to let him have a very early version. Don't be confused that his interface is looking slightly different, but I think it's really amazing what Nicola did. So here we go, AI Rising, created by AI.
Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. My name is Nicola and I'm a senior colorist here in MPC Shanghai. A few days ago, Dado sent me his new software Colourlab Studio. So let's give it a try. So we have prepared the intro sequence from the AI Rising, pre-conformed in Resolve. So let's switch to Colourlab Studio. Here is the option Resolve Fetch. Colourlab will pull conform from Resolve and assign camera and camera profiles. Of course, you can change that later. Let's click Done, and if we quickly check conform, we can see that is pretty neat. As you can see, on the left hand side we have the main project preview, and on the right hand side we can see all shots. For selected shot we have 4 views, which is flat view, Rec 709 transformation applied, show look and shot look. Show look is basically if you want to apply the lookup table on top of everything, you can choose here and have it as a general show look. And here in this area you can assign reference frame. Reference frame can be one of the shots that you already done in the timeline, or you can pull in reference stills. So I prepare some reference stills for this particular project, AI Rising. So here we have this intro scene from AI Rising. So let's see what this software is actually made for. I'll pull out reference still from the finished movie, and on the lower left hand side you have shot settings, color wheels, as you can imagine, printer lights, and most important part is match settings. Let's see what will happen when we use project default. That's one pretty decent match. If you want to try some other modes, when you switch to, let's say, RGB mode, you can turn on advanced settings, and that's where you can fine-tune. Once we're happy with the shot, with the shot settings, we can save it to the gallery. And so in gallery you can save your favorite presets for the shot. So we can quickly go between shots, and let's apply two similar shots, see how it goes. Let's see close up. We have reference still for that. Again, match still. That's pretty good match, I would say. Let's match quickly all the shots in this sequence. Once you're happy with the overall balance, you can easily use this option Resolve Sync. And there is one very important message that you can see, that you should refresh your LUTs. So when we go back to Resolve, it's very important we refresh our lookup table folders and we can check the result. Looks pretty cool. As you can see, the result of this is two nodes. One is CDL, one is 3D lookup table that Colourlab Studio automatically places in the correct folder. Yours is just to refresh it. You can probably see that the interface is very intuitive and the software is very easy to use yet very powerful. I can already see myself and my team using this software on a daily basis, because you can very quickly download and very quickly try a few different looks for your show, movie, commercial or whatsoever, which means that you can quickly also develop look in this software.
Nimani. Nimani is our cyborg. She will accompany you. Her performance is adjustable. She's got more than 500 modes of behavior. Besides, take a look.
Okay. That was Nicola, man. Love it. Love the work. Actually, it's such a beautiful film as well. You can watch it on YouTube as well if you want to check it out. I just really wanted to kind of cover a couple of things, guys. When you buy more than one, a factory driver, you're going to get more than one PDF. Now we do have discovered that links on a Look Designer PDF are wrong, so we fixed them already. But we have to email you new ones. Just email us and we'll be sending you the right one straight away. In the meantime, we will update the site so that you get the right links as well. Another question was, what's the minimum spec? So for Colourlab Ai, any Mac that has a GPU, a discrete GPU is good. So basically it all runs off the GPU, and the newer Macs are better because they have this special processor that allows some of that core ML to be accelerated. So 2013 MacBook is a little bit on the lower end. I don't think I would recommend that, but anything, like any MacBook, iMac Pro, trash can, Mac Pro, I mean, literally. If you have a Mac Pro 2019, the software just flies. I mean, it takes seconds really to match shots. I'm using a MacBook Pro, the medium, it's I think this one is 16-inch, and it's just medium spec, and it's working perfectly all right for me. I'm happy, but certainly if I was to kind of, be working with a lot of material, I would always go for something like, Mac Pro or iMac Pro. Okay, and you have to have Catalina for Colourlab Ai. For plugins, it's much easier. It's just DaVinci Resolve 16 with any operating system. And basically it works on Windows and PC. All right, I just promised one more thing before we finish, which was basically, you asked me, hey, how do different cameras work? So I want to just basically quickly show you that. So I'm just what I got here is I got 4 shots, and it's an interesting for test because there's 4 shots, same shot, but with a different camera. So the first one is Sony, the second one is Red, the third one is not Arri, but it's actually Panasonic, okay, and the last one is Arri. So once you do that, basically you kind of bring this material in. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and apply maybe some look. Let's see, maybe just let's try this one, a retro. That's a good one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and adjust a little bit exposure in this particular shot, maybe just a little bit like this, right? And then I'm going to say, yes, this is the reference, and I'm just going to go and match it. So basically I have 4 shots with 4 different cameras. But basically, what Colourlab AI does, it first of all color manages the cameras, which is a great part, and check it out. Boom, 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 boom. Right? So you see, it does really help you get all of your cameras in order, and this is just one of the benefits. I actually even don't think I forgot that we can do this because we've been focusing so much on all the other color matching, but this was one of the first things we did was, hey, let's go and match cameras. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in, for being here. Thank you all for signing up for Factory Drivers. We're going to be using a Discord, and there is in your PDF a link how to join Discord. We are looking forward to welcoming you there. There is already a community in there. This is amazing people from Summer Look Academy. They are already part of the same community. You won't be able to see all of the channels that they are accessing, but you're going to be able to participate in all the Factory Driver stuff. It's a fantastic place where we can exchange things and notes and ideas. It's been an amazing experience developing this software so far, and I'm so looking forward to working with all of you guys who choose to be our Factory Drivers, and making this an amazing software that's going to help us all in our job. A minute ago we looked and we have around 80 licenses left, so if you are making up your mind, please be quick, because I don't think it's gonna last long. I'm so happy actually you are excited about it. This was really our hope that you are going to like what we were doing. And for the end, I just really want to play you a little trailer, which kind of for me symbolizes everything that AI is supposed to do. It's supposed to liberate us. It's supposed to make colorists creative again and not just kind of the operators. And it's a fantastic short movie that it's kind of first officially released AI color graded short. And on that note, I want to thank you all and see you Discord, see you on email, and looking forward to making this an amazing, amazing piece of software. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.